morning, good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you to the June 16th, 2022 DeKalb County Ethics Board meeting. I'm David Moskowitz. I'm currently serving as chair, and I would like to convene this meeting and move forward. First, we're going to start on our agenda, our published agenda, with I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda as published. Do I have a motion for that?
Motion to adopt the agenda as published, Nadine.
Thank you, Nadine. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the agenda as published indicate by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted as is, and we'll move forward. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I know we got them we may have gotten them before, but I know we had them within the past hour. And I just wanted, anybody had any recommendations or changes before I ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th, 2022 meeting. Okay. Motion to approve. Somebody say something. I see your hand, Candace.
No, I actually have not had a chance to review them, so I'm not going to make that motion. I'm sorry.
Is there anyone who's had a chance to review, or would y'all, I guess we could.
I can do it, briefly, but I haven't had a chance to since the email came
Why don't
out.
we do this, take a few minutes and review the minutes, and y'all acknowledge when y'all have had an opportunity to review, and then raise your hand or say aye, and then we'll move forward from there, okay?
And while you're doing that, I am asking Shawanda, who is now as an attendee, go ahead and please accept my promotion to panelist.
Great.
I did get a chance to, but definitely we'll review them right now as well again. Thank you.
Shawanda, I don't know, I'm sure you can hear me, but take a minute if you would and review the minutes, because I know we just kind of had them sent over, and some people aren't really clear on them. So I want to review them before we have a motion to approve.
And Ms. Simulton Terminio, just so you're aware, your camera is on, but it appears to be covered.
Actually, it's not covered. I'm not sure what's going on. That's what I'm sort of working through on this end also. So, yeah, not.
No,
yeah.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, I have had a chance to review. I'm not sure if everyone else has.
I'm still looking.
Okay. I've reviewed them as well.
Just looking at one more thing here. Okay, is everybody ready? Okay.
Yes.
If you had an opportunity to review the minutes, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2022 meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, anyone opposed to the approval of the minutes? Y'all indicate by saying aye if you approve.
Approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion is to approve.
Aye.
All in favor, aye. Okay, anyone? Okay, minutes are approved. Let's move on to item number 3, the administrative items. I do want to, before we move on to the nomination, election of board officers, I do want to welcome our new delegate member who I spoke to earlier today. Ms. Simulton Tremino, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. She can correct me. I'm working on it. And we had a brief discussion, and I just wanted to welcome you to our board, as to the family, and hopefully you'll give us a few minutes of introduction, or tell us. I just knew that you were at Emory Law School, which several of us have been, and you can fill us in from there and tell us a little bit about yourself, since we're only seeing you as a blank space on the Zoom.
And I sincerely apologize for that. Not sure what little quirky thing is going on this end, but hi, good evening. My name is Kathia Miranda Simulton Tremino. I am happy to be joining the board and to be serving the public, especially DeKalb County. I've been here in the county now for about 7 years in the Brookhaven area. I am a new mom, have a 4-year-old, and she keeps me quite busy. We just came in from the pool this afternoon. So of all the accomplishments I could talk about, that's my biggest accomplishment in life. Tuskegee University, undergrad and grad, I attended Johns Hopkins also, and as he mentioned, Emory Law School for Juris Masters. So I'm just happy to be here. I'll use brevity because I know that we have quite a bit of work to do tonight, and I look forward to working with everyone. I'll try to reach out to everyone as we go along, just to say hello and to get familiar, and hopefully keep working on whatever video issue I'm having tonight all of a sudden, so that we can sort of speak virtually face to face.
So you are a real person.
I am a real person. I'm not a bot. You all can send me a code to put in and I'll reply. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Well,
I'm a
we're
real
welcome,
person.
and we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we'll look forward to your counsel, advice, comments, whatever, as we move along here.
Great.
As I have always said to everybody who comes along, I'm a big believer in 2 heads are better than 1. And in this case, I guess, 8 are better than 7.
I would tend to agree also.
So we
Level heads.
we will welcome whatever you would like to give us and advise. So with that, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome.
The next issue, the next area on the agenda and the administrative items, the nomination and election of board officers. And I think that we don't have to table this anymore. I have thought about this quite a bit, and I've contacted all of you here. And as much as I would like to say I've thoroughly enjoyed being the board chair, it is not a position that I had asked to be elevated to. It is not my choice. I like being with everybody and listening to what everybody has to say, but this is not really my cup of tea. I was very happy to serve as vice chair, and I'm very willing to drop back down to that position and continue on under the circumstances that we have a slate of the proposed following, that being, I would like to nominate Ms. Joseph to take over as chair, I don't know if I'll nominate or just drop back down to vice chair and allow Candace Rogers to continue as secretary. And I would like to entertain a motion for that unless anybody has any discussion. Anybody wants to jump in and get on the slate for someone else when we have an election, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
if anyone would like to be
I would-
chair,
Well,
really-
I put the motion in for Alex to be the chair. And I think that, of course, seeing the great job that you definitely done, you qualified. And also, I would say if we can just do all of them separately since they're listed separately. And of
Okay.
course, by all means, definitely stay in position. I would vote for you and stay in position of co-chair and Candace if secretary, but to go through all of them. And I'm looking at Alex. Alex, well, first of all, I, propose for her to become chair.
Okay, so the motion is that Alex Joseph has been nominated to succeed as chair of the DeKalb Ethics Board. That motion's on the table. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Well, don't we need to second? I'll second it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I
This is
second
why
it.
I need to go away.
No, it's fine.
you've been doing a great job.
You have, David. Thank you for your service.
I'm still here, just in a different capacity. I like being sandwiched in here between Candace and Alex in their wisdom. Okay, it's been seconded. All those in favor of Alex Joseph as chair indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. Alex is now the chair. You can take it over from here and finish up with the rest of the officers. See ya.
Yeah.
all right, is there a motion to vote on our vice chair? Or is it vice chair or deputy chair? Sorry.
Vice chair.
I think it's vice.
Vice chair, starting off strong. Is there a motion to vote on the vice chair? We're voting for Mr. David.
I
I'm
move
not
that
nominating myself.
I make the nomination and move for David Moskowitz to for vice chair of the board.
Right. And do I hear a second?
Second.
Great. We have several seconds, which is appropriate when voting for vice chair. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then any abstaining? All right, welcome back to the vice chair role. Now we're going to vote for board secretary. Do I
Hey,
hear?
before we vote, I would just like to say the same thing that David says. If there's anyone that wants to self-nominate or I'm open to that, I would be happy to support you in the role. But if not, I'm happy to serve as well. So just wanted to make that clear.
That said, I nominate Candace Rogers for secretary.
And I second.
Thank you.
And I help. Say if you need help, Ms. Candace.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Nadine. I appreciate it.
All right, and all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And then any opposed? And then any abstaining? All right, welcome back, Ms. Rogers, as our board secretary.
Thank you.
So I guess now I'm leading, I'm
The meeting.
leading this meeting. All right, so now I'm going to give you an update on the status of our ethics officer, Judge Murphy. Last meeting, we voted on whether or not to appoint Ms. Murphy, and the board voted to appoint her and to extend an offer letter. That letter, which was drafted by our attorney, was sent to Ms. Murphy. She signed it, she returned it. She has subsequently passed a background check and all of the other requirements of the position. As you all know, the next step in the process was for the DeKalb County Commissioners to vote on whether to confirm her appointment. And there has hit a bit of a snag in the process. And so I want to be very careful with my words here to really give a clear outline on what has happened. And what I would advise is sort of the next course of action. And I want to be really clear about what we are and are not talking about tonight. So the issue is that the commissioners, a majority of the commissioners are the subject of active ethics complaints currently. Therefore, they believe that they cannot vote to confirm Ms. Murphy, Judge Murphy, because there could potentially be a conflict of interest. We have then said to them, what do you think is the sort of recourse? They have asked for some sort of written confirmation that this would not be a conflict of interest. And in fact, are considering whether or not they're going to ask for an advisory opinion. That would really, the code states that in this position, they should in fact seek an advisory opinion. Frankly, and I have been saying this from the moment that I joined the board, the code of ethics is very clear. We are a board that considers the items that are brought in front of us. We are not the enforcement arm. Our enforcement arm is our ethics officer. Without an ethics officer, we are a ship without a captain. We really can't act. So the commissioners have brought this concern, which is simple. Is there a conflict of interest on them voting while there are these open investigations? And when I say it's simple, I think my point is it's a simple problem. That doesn't mean there's a simple answer. It doesn't mean the outcome is clear. But we cannot answer that because we don't have an ethics officer. It's a catch-22. The person that would give us guidance, the person that would interpret the code for us, the person that would investigate that question, we don't have. So my recommendation would be that we hire Ms. Murphy on an interim basis, and Ms. Murphy can therefore determine whether we should write an ethics advisory opinion or what the next steps are. And I want to be clear, Ms. Murphy may say, that's something for our lawyer to decide. She may say, we absolutely can draft an ethics advisory opinion. We tonight do not have to figure out what our response is to the commissioners, nor should we. I am asking the board to hire Ms. Murphy to extend an offer for her to become aboard as an interim, because then we will have a full staff. And then frankly, we can be a functioning board. So, and I want to be clear that I am bringing this to the board before we have discussed this with Ms. Murphy. Obviously, this is an open meeting. Ms. Murphy could be in attendance, but I wanted the board to be aware of the commissioner's concern and then the solution that I think will allow us to even begin to address their concern and bring it to the board. So now we can have a discussion, but the action item here would be to vote on whether or not to extend her an offer on an interim basis. And we can discuss, and then I'll stop talking, but we can discuss what an interim offer would look like in terms of the content of the letter in executive session, because that would involve maybe discussions of compensation or our attorney whose background is in labor and employment law, that. But as far as the simple vote is just on whether or not to extend her the offer as interim counsel. Ms. Rogers, I think you're talking about your.
I was muted, sorry. Is there a proposed time frame that your suggestion is? You say interim basis, but what is the, I don't know. You're asking when would the offer be extended, or what time frame are you asking? I'm asking about the time frame of the interim basis that she, or will there be a specific time frame? Or I guess I'm a little unclear as to, we're extending an offer on it, or your proposal is to extend an offer on an interim basis until what though? Because the issue will remain.
Right. And so I guess there's two time frames involved. So the first time frame is when would we extend the interim offer? And basically the idea would be that we would edit her letter to make sure she's aware that it's interim, and then we would send her the letter and her start date will remain the same. And then your second question is, what would be the term of the interim? And I don't think your first question, but I want to make sure I answer the first part, which maybe was my own question. The second one is, what is the term of the interim status? Technically, that's something we can discuss in executive session because maybe it goes into personnel, but I would just say that her term is 6 years. And I would say that I would say that we should consider extending her a 6-year term on an interim basis, with the idea that already in our offer letter, that 6-year term is she can choose to leave, or if she violates the code of the for cause code, we can then terminate it. So it is not a 6-year term that we can't end or she can't end, but the original offer to her was for 6 years. That's the term that's on our website. That's the term the last ethics officer served. And so that would be my recommendation. But we can debate the term in executive session, or we can talk about it now. It doesn't bother me. I'm just letting you know that that would be my recommendation. And I will say that there are these inherent conflicts in the code. So one of them is the commissioners voting on our ethics officer. And I want to be very careful with my words. The commissioners have, I believe, a genuine question, and we cannot answer it because we don't have an ethics officer. However, hypothetically, commissioners could use refusal to vote on an ethics officer as a way to interfere in the running of the ethics board. And so we have consulted with our attorney and I've looked at the code myself. There is nothing stopping us from appointing her on an interim basis. So, and to not have that opportunity to appoint her on an interim basis would basically mean that any commissioners that had a political issue with the ethics board could immediately get rid of us simply by not voting on our appointments. And frankly, we are a watchdog organization. I mean, our job is in fact to, keep officials in check. And so I want to be clear that we do unfortunately need to move forward. And this is my proposed solution. It doesn't have to be this proposed solution, but my proposed solution is we need to be staffed. We need to start dealing with our ethics cases. And so.
Oh, thank you. That was a very detailed explanation and I understand perfectly. Thank you. So are you asking for a motion at this point, or are we still?
I'm just making sure there's no discussion because I know that this is a lot of new information. And I also am aware that some of this might have been newer information for people. So I just want to make sure that we really have room for discussion before we vote on it.
Okay.
And I also want to make sure that people understand that if we have questions about the language of the offer letter, we will discuss those in executive session if people have those questions. And so I just want to make sure.
I have one question, Alec. Why is it that it has to be the ethics officer that determines the going forward with the commissioner's cases? Why can't Ms. Levine look at it and determine and engage with them?
Right. So basically, the ethics, and this is my opinion. So if your interpretation of the ethics code is different, I want to be very clear that we are all doing our best to uphold the ethics code and respond to issues in real time in a way that is transparent and is thorough. And our ethics code describes the ethics board as having an ethics officer and having a lawyer, and that being a functional board. So in the same way that we have pushed off voting on our officer positions because we weren't a full board, I would argue that our office is basically non-functional. And so we have not been considering ethics cases. We haven't been issuing ethics opinions. So it's less that Miss Levine, our lawyer, may end up writing this advisory opinion. It's more that I want the benefit of everyone to address this because I do think it's an important issue. That's one. Two, I do not think in this case they are not voting out of a desire to interfere. However, that is in some ways what is happening. We have not had an ethics officer. That is not the intended effect, but that is the effect. We have not had an ethics officer for months and months. And so in that our duty is to be a functioning ethics board, I want to push forward, because writing this advisory opinion or figuring out how to respond to them is, it's detailed and it will take some time. And so I want to be clear that I am offering us voting on Judge Murphy in an interim capacity. One, because I think it's the right way to address their concerns, but two, because it's the fastest solution. I want to be clear that that is a reason, which is this gets us to be up and functional and do the other business of the board in addition to addressing their concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I have some discussion. Appreciate you bringing it, publicly, all of what we're looking at, and just knowing this is of course a different twist. Hadn't considered the case that we have before us and the commissioners, tabling it. But I really appreciate you bringing it forth and clearing it up more so in our minds to go forward. I just wanted to state that for record.
One more comment. If the persons involved in the ethics complaint is no more than 2, right?
So I want to be clear, I haven't investigated it because that's not my job. So they're saying that there are 4 commissioners.
4.
That might not be true.
Okay, I'm not aware of those, but okay, because I was just trying to go to the places of would they have a quorum, Kristen, if those who were not involved could vote.
They are saying it's 4, which means they would not have a quorum. I want to be clear that as a lawyer, sometimes this happens where people say something and then as soon as I get a case file, I realize they're mistaken. So there is a world, but it is their attorney. I mean, they seem to think 4 of them have some sort of conflict or perceived conflict.
Okay, I'm just not aware of that many, but okay, that's fine.
And sorry, Ms. Rosa, to cut you off.
No, I'm good. I'm good with what you're saying.
And I would be remiss if I did not say that because we have not had an ethics officer in place for several months, some of the cases that are currently on our docket, I believe we have 10 open cases, that there might have been a statute of limitations may have run, which means that some of those cases may have to be dismissed because of the statute of limitations. One, that means we should have an ethics officer. That's another reason to have an ethics officer. 2, there is a world in which some of the cases that involve commissioners actually would be dismissed because of a statute of limitations, which could be a way to even get a quorum, right? If 2 of the cases get dismissed. So I know that's really in the weeds, but I do want to make us aware of the fact that when we have an ethics officer in place, and as she of course goes through our files, some of these cases will have a statute of limitations issues. Time has lapsed. And so I just want to make the board aware of the fact that that's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, David.
This is the only thing I want to add to this. And I don't want to take us off course. I think we need to, my advice would be to go ahead and hire Ms. Murphy in the interim, and whatever that may mean, we can figure out. But, from a strictly jurisprudence issue, I really, the way I interpret the law, and I'm not going to get into a legal discussion about this, but this is not the intent of the law that we were handed. And it's my firm belief that if this is a quirk or something that has come about that wasn't intended, then that's a different story. But my understanding of the approval of this, I want it fully determined about this for the future. And that's all I have to say. But as far as the immediate problem, we haven't had a chair since Stacy left at the end of February. We've done a lot of other things, but we need to get moving. And this is the final piece of the puzzle. We have a very good candidate that we've offered it to. We need to get her up and running, because that's gonna, her getting acclimated and situated is not gonna happen at the snap of a finger either. And it's just the final piece of the puzzle. So my suggestion is, whatever it's worth, let's please move forward on this tonight, and we can deal with all the collateral issues behind it afterwards. But I think we have the ability, authority, and right to hire and contract whatever we want to do, and she fits within those confines, and then we'll wrestle with the other issues afterwards. But I'm just surprised we've reached this point, but that's just beside the point.
Okay, do I hear a motion to extend an offer to Ms. Murphy to appoint her as our ethics officer on an interim basis? So she'll be serving as our interim ethics officer, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That was a very robust vote. And then any opposed?
First vote.
And then any abstaining? All right, so we will extend an offer to Ms. Murphy for her to serve as our interim ethics officer. And just as a point of clarification, and I'm checking my notes because, so the county also raised the issue of Judge Murphy's term length. I guess in a previous meeting, we didn't clarify that for our minutes. So for the purposes of our minutes, her appointment is for the full 6-year term, with the understanding that the appointment could end earlier if Judge Murphy so decides, or if the circumstances in the code of cause are met. So the county asked us to just clarify her term length. I guess we had not clarified that in the minutes, but that also goes for her interim capacity. That'll be a 6-year term, or I mean, we can discuss that in executive session, but the code forecasts a 6-year term. And it causes by the board, as noted in her offer. All right, so turning to our next agenda item is public comment. So we'll be having a lengthy executive session today. So we are turning now to public comment. So I'm turning over to John to facilitate that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And for those of you who are with us today, if you would like to make a public comment of 3 minutes or less, please identify yourself by using the raise hand feature. I'm not seeing anyone on a phone, so we don't need that. And of course, no profane language or derogatory comments, please. So our first request is from Stephen Binney. I will ask Mr. Binney to unmute, and please state your name and address for the record.
Stephen Benny, 1083 Seville Drive, Clarkston, Georgia, 30021. First off, congratulations, Miss Alex Joseph. Anyone with 2 first names is A-OK in my book, and anyone who will wear a shirt like that is a good hippie, and I appreciate that. Thank you also for your very detailed description of what is going on with the county commission. I've been watching their meetings, and this has been postponed until at least the 28th, but no one gave any reasons. I appreciate your explanation. I believe that you are being gamed, or being attempted being gamed, and you're hiring the lady on an interim basis is a proper response. The commissioners don't know this person. They don't have any personal contact with this person. So how is there any conflict of interest? I believe a ruling should be made and could be made by your legal counsel. I don't think that that ruling has to be made by the director, but it is fine that you are trying to include her in that. But if you hire her on an interim basis, she has to make sure that the decision that she is going to make is going to allow her to become the director before she would sign the interim contract. Otherwise, what use would it be? But I believe that you are right to continue to charge forward with this. You should not let them, let the commission try to hold you up on doing what the state says that you are supposed to do. And also on a side note, I would have to mention that Ms. Latoya is still listed on your website as your assistant director, and perhaps you may want to correct your website. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
Last call or another call. I'm not seeing any additional hands raised, but if you'd like to make a public comment, please do so by using the raise hand feature. We do have another request. Well, let me just double check. Ms. Hinkle, I will allow you to speak if you would like to. I did see your hand pop up quickly, and if so, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, John. Mary Hinkle, 1718 Mason Mill Road, Atlanta, Georgia. I want to thank the board for your practical, pragmatic approach to this hiccup in the hiring of a new ethics officer. I appreciate your explaining it so carefully. I too saw the Board of Commissioners meeting. There was no explanation. It's been postponed for 2 weeks. I would remind you, you also need the approval of the CEO. So don't forget that. But I think you're moving forward in a great tradition. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else? Raise hand feature. And Ms. Hinkle, I think you just spoke, so I think you should be good. Madam Chair, there are no additional requests at this time.
Okay, thank you. And as always, I just want to thank the members of the public that do attend. I really appreciate it. And on a personal note, I'm a big believer that people, I guess people in positions of power, which I think the people on this board do have power, they deserve to be questioned and yelled at and confronted a lot. And so I actually really appreciate every question we get and the people that tune in. So thank you so much. And with that, now that I've asked for more criticisms and feedback, let me look at the agenda. And I believe we are now going to go into executive session. And I know we have a new board member. So, and I think John may explain this, but we do log off of this, this chat and we go into another Zoom session, and we will come back here, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, to vote to end this meeting, but we will not be having public commentary when we come back. Am I stating all that correct? Okay, I'm getting some nods.
Yes.
Okay.
And the email has already been sent to all the board members for the link for executive session.
Christian, I need you to send it to my personal email, please, because I'm having to use that computer tonight. Thank you.
And me as well.
All right, I will see everyone in executive session.
I'm sorry, Ms. Joseph, I believe you need motions to convene. Am I incorrect?
Yes.
Motions are always good. So is there a motion to convene executive session?
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then any abstaining? All right, we will now move to executive session. Thank you. Thank you. I know that we had a lengthy executive session. The entirety of the executive session was getting legal counsel on ongoing litigation matters. It was a very lively discussion. And I thank all the participants, and I also thank the board members. And as I said in our executive session, it's very clear that we all care very passionately about our roles. We take it very seriously, and I'm very grateful that I get to work with this team. I think that we are really passionate advocates for DeKalb County. So with that, I would just ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Well, before adjourning,
Right. I would vote for a meeting to end executive session. I apologize. So do I have a motion to end executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And then, okay. And all in favor? Aye.
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 Great. And then all opposed? Any not voting? Okay. And any abstaining? All right. And then now I would move for a motion. I've made my little speech to all in favor of ending tonight's meeting.
we have to vote on the executive session affidavit.
Sorry, so if we could vote on the executive session affidavit,
To approve the affidavit.
is there a motion to approve the executive session affidavit?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. And now can I vote to?
Yes, I move
Unless.
that, well, first of all, congratulations. What, is somebody else talking? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Congratulations on your first.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just
That's
gonna
okay.
say, the next item on the agenda is for board comments, unless anyone wants to make board comments. And if not, the announcement of the regular meeting would be July 21st.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alex, on your first meeting as chair. You did a wonderful job. And on your new appointment. And with that, I move that we adjourn the meeting for the night.
I just have a comment. Thank everybody and welcome to the new board members. And I so move on that.
Right.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. All in favor of terminating or leaving the meeting?
Aye.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening. Rest of the-